The footage of Yumenglong's final night was sealed under the pretext of ongoing investigation. No one outside a small circle of state technicians had ever seen it. Until now. The man who controlled the cameras that evening has finally spoken, not through an official statement, but in a trembling voice recorded on a phone inside a hotel room far from Beijing. His name is withheld for his safety, but we've confirmed his position, his credentials, and most chillingly, the metadata embedded in the clip he shared. He begins simply, "I wish I had never looked back at the monitors." The operator was on duty in a high-rise security room overseeing a complex of luxury apartments, one of which belonged to Yumenglong. The timestamp reads 1:42 a.m. The rain outside distorted the streetlights, giving the footage a liquid shimmer. According to the logbook, Menglong returned to the building alone. The elevator doors closed behind him. Nothing unusual at first, the operator recounts. He pressed the top floor. The camera above him flickered once, just a voltage spike, I thought, but when it stabilized, he wasn't looking at the numbers. He was staring directly into the lens, like he could see me. The footage, reviewed privately by our source, confirms it. Menglong's expression isn't angry or afraid, it's knowing, as if he recognized the exact second someone would revisit the recording years later. The operator watched as the elevator reached the 33rd floor. The doors slid open. Yumenglong stepped out. Behind him, just before the frame cut to static, another figure appeared, a blur-shaped-like movement without mass. I rewound the tape, the operator says. It wasn't there before. Frame by frame, nothing, then suddenly this smear of light right behind him, like a reflection escaping the mirror. He called his supervisor. The reply was curt, "Ignore the anomalies. Log normal." But something in the operator refused to let it go. He isolated the feed, magnified the distortion, and slowed it to 1/4 speed. What emerged was not a technical glitch. The blur had a hand. It reached toward Menglong's shoulder, and stopped an inch short. The pixels bent around it, like heat. He saved the frame. That decision cost him everything. Within 12 hours, corporate security demanded the original file. They called it a privacy protocol. When he handed them a copy instead, they erased his system credentials and escorted him out of the building. By morning, his workstation had been reformatted. But he'd already transferred the footage onto a personal drive, and what he saw later that week convinced him never to speak until now. The camera inside the hallway outside Menglong's apartment caught movement at 2:11 a.m. The door opened, light spilling into the corridor. Menglong appeared again, still dressed, still calm. He looked down both directions of the hall, then directly into the ceiling camera. Like he knew I was still watching, the operator whispers on the recording. He raised his hand, almost waving. Then he mouthed something, 3 words. When the operator enhanced the clip, the phrase became clear, "Do not follow." Seconds later, the feed distorted violently. When it recovered, the hallway was empty. The apartment door hung open. The operator triggered the building's backup feed, but every other camera on the 33rd floor had gone offline at the same instant, all except one, the emergency stairwell. Through that lens, he watched as Menglong descended slowly, pausing on every third step. The motion sensors captured faint static patterns trailing behind him, as if the cameras were struggling to decide how many people were there. At 2:19 a.m., he reached the lobby. The doorman, since retired, insists no one passed his station. Yet the exit doors opened twice, once for Menglong, once 7 seconds later, for something the human eye couldn't register. The operator submitted a report the next morning. It was rejected without comment. 2 days later, Yumenglong was declared missing. He tried to forget. Moved cities. Changed jobs. But strange malfunctions followed him, monitors freezing on empty hallways, reflections in screens a half-beat behind. He claims he began hearing faint audio embedded in blank footage, a heartbeat syncopated with static. Last month, after the latest system crash in his new post, he opened a folder the computer created on its own. Inside was a single still image, the elevator frame from that night. Only this time, the blurred reflection wasn't behind Menglong, it was behind the operator himself, visible in the monitor glass. That's when he contacted us. He sent one more file as proof, a short video he claims appeared automatically on his phone at 3:27 a.m. It begins with the hiss of rain, then a whisper, "You saw me." The image stabilizes on a CCTV timestamp identical to that original night, down to the second. The footage ends with the lens turning inward, capturing what looks like the operator's own reflection, flickering with Yumenglong's face for 3 frames before vanishing. Independent analysts confirm the audio layers were not added later. The spectral frequency matches the background hum of the original apartment building's power grid. In other words, the sound was captured live. Authorities deny the existence of any surviving footage, calling all circulating clips deepfake fabrications. Yet multiple employees from the same complex admit that every attempt to wipe the recordings fails. New copies regenerate within hours. It's like the system wants to remember him, one technician said. Perhaps most disturbing, every recovered file ends with the same line of corrupted text in its metadata, a tag repeating "do not follow" exactly 33 times, the same as the floor number where the incident occurred. The operator now lives under another name. He claims he still checks the monitors at night, habit he can't break. Sometimes, he says, I see the elevator doors open even when the building's empty. And sometimes the man inside looks up, but it's not him anymore. It's me. When asked why he finally chose to speak, he hesitates. Because silence didn't save me, he says. If you ever see that recording light flicker twice, don't look at the screen. It means he's watching through you. As of this report, the security company that managed the original footage has shut down its online portal following a massive server glitch. A placeholder message now greets anyone who tries to access the page. 404, user already logged in. Specialists examining mirrored networks say that for every deleted frame, another seems to appear somewhere else, like a reflection searching for the next surface. Maybe that's why the operator left us with one last file, a single image of the elevator, timestamped this morning, long after Yumenglong was gone. The red recording light is still blinking. Even when the monitors were gone, even when he changed jobs and traded the cold blue glow of security screens for a life that didn't involve cameras, the sound stayed, the soft static hum that used to mean everything was normal. Only now, it followed him into his sleep. The operator, whose name we're still withholding for safety, was last tracked to a small apartment in Guangzhou. No cameras this time, only a second-hand laptop, taped webcam, and blackout curtains nailed shut. He'd grown a beard, looked hollow, and his voice, once calm and measured, now cracked with exhaustion. You don't understand, he whispered. The footage plays itself. He turned his laptop toward the reporter and hit the spacebar. A familiar gray feed flickered to life, timestamped 1:42 a.m., the same minute Yumenglong entered the elevator that final night. But this wasn't the same clip. The building's floor numbers now glowed faintly red, though the original elevators were gold. And Menglong wasn't alone. Behind him, in the reflection of the metallic doors, a second figure appeared clearer than ever, tall, faceless, standing perfectly still. As the elevator ascended, the reflection turned its head toward the camera. Menglong didn't. The operator paused the clip, shaking. That wasn't there when I first saved it. It's like it updates itself every time I open it. It's learning what I missed. The reporter leaned closer. In the frozen frame, Menglong's reflection looked straight ahead, eyes blurred but distinct enough to show the faintest trace of recognition, like he could see whoever was watching. The operator resumed playback. At floor 33, the elevator doors opened. Menglong stepped out, pausing before the hall camera as before. Only this time, the distortion came earlier. His lips moved differently. When isolated, the audio revealed a fourth word never heard in earlier versions: don't follow him. The operator's breathing grew uneven. You hear that? He changed it. The footage changed the message. He played another sequence, a hallway camera that was supposedly offline during the disappearance. It had reappeared recently on a recovered backup. In it, Menglong walks toward his apartment, stops midway, and turns back toward the camera. Something stands at the end of the corridor, faint, flickering, a mirror image of him but delayed, every movement half a second late. The figure's hand raises, same gesture, same timing, only reversed, like watching a reflection play catch up. And then the lights went out in the footage, but the room where the operator sat flickered too. The laptop screen pulsed once, and the window's dark glass behind him glowed faintly as if reflecting another monitor that wasn't there. He slammed the lid shut. It does that when you watch too long, he said. He hadn't shown anyone else the files, not since the night he claimed the lights in his building began flickering exactly at 2:19 a.m. each morning, the same minute Menglong was last seen. Sometimes, if I look at the reflection of my window, I can see him standing behind me, he muttered. He's not angry. He's waiting. For what? The reporter asked. For me to look up. A week after that interview, the operator stopped responding to calls. When police eventually entered his apartment, they found the laptop still on, camera light blinking red, but the screen was blank. The local power grid logs show no outages, yet neighbors reported hearing a faint voice through their televisions that night. Check the mirror. On the laptop's desktop was a single file named Last Watch. Investigators extracted it but couldn't play it. The codec was corrupted, looping endlessly between timestamps. Forensic analysis revealed embedded frames of the same elevator scene, except the face in the reflection was no longer Yumenglong's. It was the operator's. Technicians claimed the image wasn't composited. It was burned into the footage itself, frame by frame, like a digital signature written after the fact. One analyst working the recovery described something stranger. When I paused the video, she said, the reflection didn't freeze. It kept blinking. And then, for just one frame, it turned toward me. She hasn't worked in surveillance since. Experts tried every explanation: corrupted data, image burn-in, psychological projection. But none could explain why the corrupted file kept regenerating copies even when the computer was disconnected from the internet. 2 nights after the system was quarantined, a new recording appeared in the same folder, a live camera feed of an empty elevator somewhere, timestamped 33rd floor, 1:42 a.m. The elevator doors opened, and for a split second, a man stepped out, turning his head toward the camera. His ID badge, partially visible in the reflection, matched the operator's initials. No one could explain how the live feed was created. The building shown doesn't exist in any registry. And yet, a week later, other operators in cities miles apart began reporting the same glitch: random elevators on their monitors freezing on floor 33, red recording lights flickering twice before cutting to black. Some claimed they heard faint audio from the static, a whisper looping a single phrase, "Don't follow him." The network has since purged the archived data, but digital traces remain. One fragment retrieved from an internal server last month contains a final text log, supposedly left by the operator moments before disappearing. He's not gone. He's in the feed now. Every time the red light blinks, he's closer. If you're watching this, stop. He's behind the glass. No one has opened the file since.